So by now, I assume everybody is familiar with what is going on with Austin Metcalf, the teenager that was senselessly and ruthlessly murdered by the 17-year-old teenager named Karmelo Anthony. And it's really a heartbreaking story. I did a whole recap on it last week that you guys can go back and watch. But essentially, they were arguing over a seat, and it led to Karmelo Anthony, a black student over at a rival high school in Frisco, Texas, stabbing Austin in the heart and taking his life, where he died in the arms of his twin brother. Now, the conversation has gotten really controversial for a number of reasons. It's gotten really, really polarized, and it just shows how divided our country is as a whole at this point. But there's so many developing elements of this that I think are worth unpacking. One of the more irrelevant things, but a lot of you people were mad at me for when I did my whole analysis last week. A lot of you, first of all, were saying that I was being anti-black because I said that Carmelo's name was ghetto. Let me clarify. The reason I think Karmelo Anthony's name is ghetto is not because it sounds like a black name. His name is ghetto because Karmelo Anthony, if you don't know, is a basketball player. His name is spelled with a C. So Karmelo, the murderer, was named after that basketball player, but they changed his name to be spelled with a K. That's like if my last name was Bryant and I named my child Kobe with a C, Kobe Bryant, but with a C, that's ghetto. It's like Michael Jordan, but with a K, ghetto. Jabron James. Let me find somebody named their kid Jabron James. That is ghetto. So I stand on what I said, but stop trying to call me anti-black for that. You always have a new reason to try to call me a coon, but that one we're not having. Okay, calm down. But anyway, the money raised for Karmelo is extremely alarming. Do we have the total of what it ended up getting up to? Last I saw, it was well over 120,000. I believe we have a screen grab of that GoFundMe. Do we have that? Yeah, so he got up to, I don't have my eyes on. He had a goal of 300K. He was at about $250,000. So he reached $250,000 donations, $250,000 of people donating to a fund to defend and support Karmelo Anthony after he just stabbed one of his peers directly in the chest. Is that not just insane? You have to be a truly sick person. Regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the details of what led up to Austin being stabbed, there was nothing that was severe enough to justify what Karmelo did. So to have a $250,000 fund from just people all over the country outraged, that is disgusting. Now, I do want to clarify, GoFundMe did delete this campaign. It is against their terms and services to raise any kind of money that is regarding the legal defense of a violent crime. So I at least give them props there because I believe they deleted Kyle Rittenhouse's defense too back when that happened years ago. And everybody was up in arms about that. And, with this situation here, I'm happy that they deleted the fund and they refunded all the money to the people who donated, because what are you doing? Why are you putting money towards the fund of somebody that is guilty as hell? Okay, allegedly. I still have to say allegedly. Oh, I should have sent it to the team too. I got a legal notice for talking about this, for calling Karmelo Anthony evil. I got a legal notice from a group that doesn't even actually rep him yet, telling me that it was defamatory for me to say that Karmelo Anthony is evil and belongs in prison because I'm demonizing black youth before he has stood in front of the court of law. He already admitted to stabbing the kid in the chest, and there's plenty of witnesses. Okay, I don't need too much extra context. What he did was evil, and I stand on what I said. And if you want to sue me for that, my legal funding is very long. Try me if you want to, because I'm very, very comfortable in a courtroom. Now, that being said, when it comes to this GoFundMe, one of the ongoing narratives is people asking why. And we talked about this a little bit last week because if y'all remember, I was getting dragged by my scalp last week for trying to explain all perspectives at the time of what had happened in this situation. I'm very clear about where I stand on it, but I'm also giving you the context of how other people view it, because I'm not in the business of telling you what to think. I want to give you guys the information and the tools so that you can come to your own conclusions as well. And I feel like my sane cousins, my cousins that aren't crackheadish like Buki and them, y'all understand what it is I'm trying to explain here. So there was a tweet there was thousands, literally thousands of tweets of people talking about this GoFundMe and asking the question, why? Why are people donating? Perfect example, my friend Alexandra Lanes. If you don't know her, and you guys know, I don't give fake compliments. I'm low-key rude. Alexandra Lanes, if you don't know her, Living Life, I think it's Living Life with Alex is her Instagram handle. That's one of the most underrated conservative voices in this space. I'm not kidding. She gets called the verbal sniper. If there is someone that you want to check out for amazing content and amazing takes on basically everything, Alexandra Lane. She's the next big thing. Don't sleep on her. But she made a tweet where she said, "Why are people donating money to a teenager for murdering another teenager? Have you all lost your collective minds?" Yes. The simple answer is yes. And her tweet was one of thousands of people genuinely wondering why. Now, my response to that question, outside of just the word yes, is, do you guys want to have an honest conversation or do you not? Okay. And I say that and I preface with that because, again, when I try to provide extra details and context, I feel like people get so mad at me as if I'm the one making these allegations. But no, I want to really break down for you guys what it is that people are saying and what I don't believe the reason is. Because a lot of people are oversimplifying the situation and just making it solely about race. So Matt Walsh's tweet, I keep talking about this and I will continue talking about it because this tweet really has lived in my head rent free. This tweet from Matt Walsh after the whole incident happened. Too much, y'all know I got my eyes on. Let me pull this up, but you can see it on the screen. Matt Walsh said, and again, "If I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you one young man in this altercation was white and the other was black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Young black males are violent to a wildly outrageously disproportionate degree." And he goes on, and he actually has another tweet I should have pulled up, but here's another tweet more recently where he talks about how basically saying that the reason that all these people are supporting this GoFundMe is because Karmelo is black. It has been turned into a straight up racial issue. I personally think that's oversimplifying it. I get why people have that perspective, though. I get why people think that people are donating to Karmelo just because he's black. Is that a part of it? Probably. Absolutely, actually. There's a lot of people saying that they're not just going to sit there and assume that this black person is guilty. But I don't think this is like an O.J. Simpson situation. You know, the more I learn about O.J., because I don't know if I was born when O.J. allegedly committed murder. But if I was definitely very young, but I don't think I was born at that time. But the more that I've learned about that situation in retrospect, any of you who thought that that man was innocent, you're insane. Okay, because a glove didn't fit, you think that that's enough reason to think that this man is innocent? Okay, like, be so for real. When the victim's blood is in his car and he's driving like a maniac down the street. Shout out to Trace Gallagher for that live breaking news reporting. But I bring that up because a lot of people are saying that this is like an O.J. Simpson situation, where a lot of the people who supported O.J., it was simply because they wanted to see a black man get away with murder as getting their lick back at white people, which is, again, why I have so many conversations about how this racial tension and this back and forth needs to stop. The answer to white supremacy is not black supremacy, okay? The answer to the response to the trauma that your ancestors endured is not now trying to make white people suffer today. If you really want to make your ancestors proud, I think that you should embrace equality. If you really want to make your ancestors proud, you don't sit there and adopt the struggles and the hardship and the pain that they went through, because we are so far beyond that. But that's my message to the black community, because there are some people who feel that way, but I don't think that's the only reason why people are supporting Karmelo, which, again, I am not on Karmelo's team at all. I'm just giving you more context in case you genuinely want to know why people are donating. This is what this deranged woman had to say.
Y'all not gonna make me believe or feel any kind of sympathy for Austin Metcalf at all. He put his hands on that young man when he should have kept them hands to himself. When the young man told him, "Touch me and see, you better not touch me," that meant that I don't want you in my space. I don't want you touching me. Rosa Parks days is over. You cannot think that you can move somebody out of a seat that you don't own and think that it's going to be okay. And you can't determine how I'm going to retaliate on you when you put your hands on me in an aggressive manner. Austin Metcalf got exactly what he deserved. Point blank, period. It's time out for feeling sorry for somebody's feelings or feeling emotional about somebody's feelings. Austin Metcalf should have kept his damn hands to himself. Point blank, period.
Oh, that just made my stomach sick. I only saw the first 10, like 10, 15 seconds of this video earlier, and I was like, yeah, I got to react to that. I didn't hear the end part where she said that Austin had that coming to him. That really just like made my stomach turn. That is a grown woman sitting here celebrating the death, the murder of a 17-year-old kid. What the hell is happening to our society? Like, that is just such I feel like I'm speechless like I was the last time I talked about this. It just blows me away to see that this is really how people think. How animalistic of a mindset do you have to sit here and romanticize the fact that a 17-year-old just died in his identical twin brother's arms over a seat? You think it's that serious? You think the life of a white person is that meaningless that they should die over saying, get out of the tent that you don't own? When people say white lives matter, I get it. I get it. White lives do matter. Brown ones do too. And we'll talk about that later and why that's a part of this title. But white lives do matter. So for you to sit here and have the comfortability to act like because this white teenager did what pretty much everybody on his team would have done too and told this kid to get out of our tent, you literally are not supposed to be here. You think that that was justification for him to be murdered? That is disgusting. That is just beyond disgusting. And I beseech you to find God. Because I don't know who that woman is worshiping, but I know it's something evil because it's not my God. Okay? That is wild. Wild for you to be a grown ass woman. Oops, not me cursing on a PragerU platform. That you being a grown woman sitting here celebrating the death of a teenager. You should be ashamed of yourself. And one of the many differences between this case and Rosa Parks, Rosa Parks and that whole story to this day blows my mind that people don't know that the Rosa Parks thing was planned, which I actually think people would respect that more if you learn the full story of Rosa Parks and how this was a coordinated effort. This wasn't just some black woman acting crazy and breaking the law. This was a black woman there was a whole situation there. I feel like black students would benefit a lot if they actually learned the details of a situation like Rosa Parks, because it's like, oh no, this was strategic. This wasn't just reckless. But with Rosa Parks, she was sitting in a seat that legally she was not supposed to. Shout out to Rosa Parks. But when it comes to Karmelo Anthony, you have your own section to sit in that is equitable. It's a track meet. You don't have to be under some rival team's tent. And again, for people who don't understand that, as someone who ran track for many years, you are compromising your own well-being when you have some stranger in your tent. Your hydration kits are there, or in simpler words, your water is there, your food is there, your equipment is there, your valuables are there, all the things that can be stolen or tampered with. And track gets very serious. Okay, I feel like a lot of people underestimate how intense high school sports get, especially this time of year when you're dealing with seniors who their entire career is backed on their sports scholarships. It gets very severe. So no, let's not downplay that Karmelo was sitting somewhere that he wasn't supposed to be. Now, getting back to the main part of this conversation today is, why are people supporting Karmelo Anthony? Exhibit A. Ignorance. It's people who are ignorant and are so emotionally and racially charged and just so blinded by their own narrative that they feel the need to stand by him. Now, the other aspect of this, the more controversial aspect of it, or equally at this point, is a lot of people are trying to really paint Karmelo as the victim here. I actually had a number of students DM me claiming that they're from Frisco area, and they were all sending me different pieces of information that I'm not going to entertain too much, just because, they sent me their receipts showing that they actually are from this area and trying to tell me what they're saying. But basically the narrative that's happening is they are trying to paint Austin out to be this bully, and they're trying to say that they're alleging that Austin broke Karmelo's phone. Some are saying that he broke it the night before and that he actually did know Karmelo. Then they're like adding extra elements in of how aggressive Austin was getting before, and like if he grabbed his backpack, pushed him, all these different things. And they're making it seem like they were basically about to get into a fist fight, and with Austin and his twin being I'm assuming it looks like he's bigger than Karmelo. They're trying to justify that Karmelo was defending himself. They're comparing it to Kyle Rittenhouse. But here's the thing about that. Let's say worst case scenario, every allegation is true. Let's say every allegation of what Austin allegedly did to Karmelo is true. Even with all the different things that led up to that combined, none of that equates to stabbing a kid in the heart. Okay? Sometimes you got to get into a fist fight. Sometimes you just go and get a supervisor. And if all of that is true, I'll admit maybe Austin wasn't an angel. What 17-year-old jock do you know that is? Okay? Come on now. Be so for real. Okay? I'm not saying that Austin Metcalf is a perfect angel. He might have had some play in the tension there that led to some self-defense, but self-defense does not include stabbing someone in the heart. Is it not common sense that is excessive force? And when you go for the heart, you know what you're doing. You tried to take the man's life, and you did. So what Karmelo did is objectively evil. That is not self-defense. That is murder. At the very least, that is voluntary manslaughter. If I had to make a prediction, I think he's going to end up walking with, I think he's going to end up getting charged with voluntary manslaughter more than murder. But in my book, it's the same thing. It's the same thing in my book. And no allegation, no rumor, no bullying situation. I wouldn't care if Austin slapped the taste out of Karmelo's mouth before this all happened. That still does not justify stabbing him in the heart, in murdering him. It is not that serious. And now there's all this racial division and all these people coming at literally the entire Black community, which we're going to talk about on Thursday. Y'all aren't ready for the Thursday episode, okay? But all this tension is going on, and I feel like we're going 50 steps backwards when it comes to progressing as a society past racism. Now everybody's up in arms fighting with each other, and it's because y'all are too ignorant to admit when somebody is wrong. And why is it that my people, I love being Black. It's against the popular narrative online where people try to tell me that I'm anti-Black. I love being Black, but I also love being Black so much that I'm willing to fall on this sword 1,000 times and ask, why are we as a collective so angry? Yes, slavery happened. Yes, Jim Crow happened. Yes, there are still racist people out there. Our country's not racist, but there are still racist people out there. But why are so many people so angry? Do you think that these other demographics haven't been through hell too? Do you think that the Irish, the Greeks, all these other demographics, why do we sit here and try to justify how angry and aggressive and violent so many people in the Black community are? And obviously, I'm not talking about all, because it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to majority of Black people, but the ones that it does, it's disproportionate. If we're just talking about proportionalities here, it is a disproportionate amount of people in the Black community that are committing these violent crimes that are so senseless. And it's heartbreaking to see, because now not only has Austin left this world and lost his life, but Karmelo Anthony, based on what I'm reading online, he seemed to be a decent kid before all this. It sounds like he had good grades. There's this joke going around saying that he had a 3.7 GPA and it was all 3 years combined. That's not true. Okay, he wouldn't even be eligible for sports. So it sounded like he had good grades. He was a multi-sport athlete. He had ambitions to go to college and play sports. He had all this life ahead of him. And now he's going to be spending those years in a cold, lonely prison cell. It's tragic.
Just wanted to clarify one note too. With the GoFundMe, they did in fact pull that. Mm-hmm. And the screenshot that we pulled up was a part of a website called Give, Send, Go, where it is currently still active. If you take a look here, you can see that there are donations still coming into this moment. There are prayer requests. There are a lot of different things on this website that are a little bit different, but just wanted to let you know that. It's just interesting.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. So the GoFundMe was taken down, but so that means, because I did see the GoFundMe, so that means he has multiple funds that are over 6 figures. This is crazy. This is really disgusting. I'm concerned. The black community is in a state of emergency, and literally all the liberals, because the narrative that it's only black people supporting this, I don't like that either. Let's wake that up real quick. There's a whole lot of white liberals that are supporting this too, and Marxists that are supporting this. This is disgusting. And, and I hate to say it, but I go on, when I want to really tap into what the black community is thinking, just like on a more personal level, because, I always say the shade room. I also go to my Facebook and see what my cousins are saying. I have a lot of Marxist cousins. And of course, I was ashamed to see how many of them are supporting Karmelo.